and gentlemen, big welcome for Janis Nickleson. One night, my mom called me and said, "Are you watching TV?" And she said that there was a show on PBS about Broadway and the legacy of the Yiddish theater. These are two subjects that really interest me. And so I put it on, and it also had klezmer music, and it was just a perfect evening for me. And during one of the pledge breaks, they announced that a play called, well, it wasn't really a play, it was a high-definition filming of a play called Indecent, was going to be opening the Jewish Film Festival at the Berman Center in West Bloomfield Hills, Michigan. And it was about Yiddish theater, and it had klezmer music, and I was interested. This is something I wanted to see. It had also won a lot of Tony Awards, but the most interesting thing to me was that it was written by a playwright named Paula Vogel, who deals with a lot of very complex ideas about sexuality and censorship. And then I nearly dropped my ice cream. They announced that Paula Vogel was going to be coming to the opening of this show. Okay, I had a bone to pick with Paula Vogel. The play that I like the best that she wrote is called The Oldest Profession. And you might say, what do you like about that play? What I would say is that it has 5 really good meaty roles for women. And this is not too common. And it deals with life and love and money and hard economic times. And it spoke to me not only then, it's written for right after the Reagan inauguration, but it speaks to me now. And I'm interested in these women. And the youngest one is 72, and there's no top age limit. So this is a play that you can grow into. Now, you look at me and you say, well, why would she be interested in that? Well, you know, I'm within spitting distance of 70. And so I wanted to work on this play a little bit. The first thing I do when I look at a play, after I read it a couple of times, I look on the internet and I see, what's it look like? I have to tell you here about the characters. 5 women, as I said, sitting on a park bench at the corner of 72nd and Broadway. May is the madam of the establishment. She's a protector, she takes care of her girls, and nobody messes with her. Lillian is described as sort of an English rose, and she's kind of embarrassed to explain that her recent client has become forgetful, and instead of leaving her money, has brought her a pair of seamed silk stockings. And she doesn't know how to tell the others that she won't be contributing anymore. There is Edna, who is the good time girl and has a great sense of humor and will even let one of her clients chase her around a little bit still. And there's Vera, who likes to attend funerals because she enjoys eating cake. And, oh, she also tells this great story about going to a funeral of a longtime client, reaching into the coffin, and, well, you get the idea. And she also likes to talk about how she likes to take her plates out and eat raspberries. And then there's the other character whose name is Ursula. And Ursula is angry at all the others because they turned her in for making bathtub gin. And also, she's an expert in autoerotic bondage and time management. You know, I like these characters. I thought they had sass and spice. You know, it wasn't just somebody's grandmother. They had real purpose. But the thing that I didn't like was when I looked on the internet at pictures of previous performances, I thought, what is this? Because I had a vision of the way this was supposed to look. It was supposed to be about park benches and pigeons and patina. And instead, what I saw was, I don't know, like women dressed up in little bustiers and feather boas and stuff like that. And I thought, wait a minute. This is a play about loss and love. Why are they doing that to it? Why are they pulling all the rich stuff out of it and making it look like... Oh, I also have to tell you that the structure is that after each scene, one of them dies. I mean, it's like life, right? But I didn't understand what this thing was with all the bustiers and the feathers. And I thought, oh, maybe the idea is that when they die, they do a number and then go to the big bordello in the sky. But I didn't like it. Because I thought, you know, as older women, there was a certain amount of dignity that you should have. And just because you've spent 40 years with somebody at the same time every week, that doesn't mean that you shouldn't have dignity. So I went to ask Paula Vogel about this. And you know, it's not easy for me to get to the Berman Center. I had to really think about this. First of all, I had to see how far away it was. And, you know, it's pretty far for me. I'm from South Detroit, Windsor. And so I had to go on Google Maps and see that line and everything, and I had to get some American money changed. And then I realized it was going to be about 30 miles, and it was going to be dark, and how much did I want to do this? And certainly I wanted somebody to go with me, but at the same time I was embarrassed to ask anybody to go with me to pick a fight with Paula Vogel. So I said, that's all right, I'll just go by myself. And every couple of days I would call the Berman Center and ask, is it still happening? Is Paula Vogel still coming? Oh yes, still happening. Oh yeah, she's still coming. Okay. So on the day of the show, I got up, looked out the window, and it was, ooh, cold, rainy. And I put on my yellow blazer for courage. And I called the Berman Center again just to make sure that they hadn't canceled it. And I picked up my envelope that I'd written the instructions on, because I don't believe in smartphones or anything like that, GPS. And I set out. Now, I don't know how you feel about crossing the border. It's Homeland Security. You have to take it really seriously. You don't lie to them or anything like that. And I was quite concerned about the fact that I was going by myself to the United States to see a play called Indecent. I thought they might think that I was going to a strip club and not allow me in ever again, and I would never get to Trader Joe's. So all the way there, all the way to the tunnel from my house, I was practicing saying, I'm going to the opening of the Jewish Film Festival at the Berman Center in West Bloomfield Hills, Michigan. And of course, when I got there, saw the booth, saw the man, rolled down the window, and he said, "Purpose of your visit?" I said, "Church." And then I was doing my Michigan left, and I'm whizzing, and I'm under the Cobo Hall, and I'm looking for Freeway 10, that John C. Lodge thing, and I'm driving, and I'm thinking about this idea of this play that I have in my mind, and why on earth these people were undressed and looking like that. I thought to myself, if I made a movie of this, I mean, if I did a play of this, and I got a cast like Ruth Bader Ginsburg, Bette Midler, and Maxine Waters, are you telling me it would be better if they were in their bathing suits? No. So I was driving along, and about, I don't know, 9 miles, suddenly there was snow on the side of the road, and my windshield wipers were throwing the slush off, and I thought, oh my, I gotta just hang on here. Get grip. How hard is it for a Canadian to find a building on Maple Road? So I got there through the back way, through the cones, through the sand and everything, and I saw the light of the building shining in the distance, and I thought, this is it. And I zipped up my coat, and I put on my hat, and I put on my mittens, and I stepped out into the April Michigan evening. I think you call it a pure Michigan moment. So I walked in, and of course, the second I opened the door, there was Paula Vogel standing right there. And I knew that my hair was all standing on end, and I couldn't say anything yet. So I just, smiled and went over to buy my ticket, and pulled out my charge card. And the man looked at it and said, "Oh, wow, you must be that lady from Canada. You made it." Did you see that Paula Vogel's right over there? So I turned around and looked, and of course she'd gone, so I had a cup of coffee. And then the show started. We all went in, and it was fabulous. It was a beautiful show, this show called Indecent, with these themes of censorship and great passion and love, and it was everything that I have ever longed for in a theatrical presentation. I loved every minute of it. And it also had this incredible lesbian kiss in the rain. So, when it was all over, I put all my Kleenex away and watched everybody stand up. But there was supposed to be a Q&A after, right? So they said, well, if there's anybody here who'd like to stay to the Q&A, please move down front. And I ran down front so fast that there was this big sucking sound behind me. And I sat there and I listened for about a half an hour about the collaboration between the director, Rebecca Teichman, and Paula Vogel, and the addition of this amazing ensemble cast and the klezmer music. And it was just a fabulous night for me to be there. But I still have my question, right? I still have my question. So I waited until everybody had kind of moved over to the side, and I drifted that way too. And then Paula Vogel turned around and looked at me and smiled. And I was so sort of stunned that I said, "Hi. I'm Jan from Canada. And I'm interested in that play that you wrote called The Oldest Profession. And I just wondered where you got all the geriatric hookers." And she smiled at me and she said, "Oh, you mean the actors?" And I said, "Yeah." She said, "Well, have you thought about the university?" Oh, well, I mean, obviously, it was not the place to think about characters and motivations and stuff. And I just had to go away and think about that and be happy with the evening and think about the nature of, why people portray things in different ways. And all the way out to the car, I was wondering, was she talking about the students or the faculty? So On my way home to Windsor, the car was filled with these 5 women who were totally over-caffeinated and having fun and talking to me. And in the back seat, Ursula was singing, "Falling in love again, never wanted to. What am I to do? I can't help it." And May, sitting beside me, said, "If you don't want to buy this chair, I'm just going to keep sitting on it. I'm certainly not going to give it away." And I had my vision. And there I was, being welcomed back to Canada, and all I needed were my sexy senior actors. So I decided that what I would do would be send out emails to people explaining that I had found this fun script that I would really appreciate if they had a little time to look at and give me some comments. It's really hard when you have a script about 5 hookers to say, "I think you should look at this part because I thought it would suit you." So instead I just said, "Let me know if any part speaks to you." And I did not tell them it was about sex and death. I just put it in a brown paper envelope and sealed it and set off on my bike, something that I call the health and stealth method of leaving it in people's mailboxes. In hindsight, I probably should have put a big sticker on the front that was yellow and black that said, "Caution, mature content, viewer discretion required," but I didn't think of it. My thinking about this was that it's always fun to play somebody different from you. You know, you might be a nun, but it might be fun to play a pirate. So the first person whose house I left it at is sort of I would call her a pillar of society in Windsor. Well known in the community, beautiful actress, older woman. And I don't think I brought my bike home and had put it in the shed before I got a message saying, "I do not see myself in this play." And not only that, I'm going to be busy for about 8 months. And then the next person that I brought it to said, "I don't think you did." And I said, go out to your garage, look in the recycle bin, and sure enough, it was tucked in there. And somebody else was having a new grandchild, and somebody else was taking care of somebody who was moving to an Alzheimer's unit. And it just seemed like this reading was never going to come together. And then I realized everybody's too busy holding the world together. We're all too busy having lives and taking care of other people. So I still haven't had a reading of the play, really, and I think I could probably cast it here right tonight. But I want to thank Paula Vogel for giving me a really great wild ride, and also for providing a blueprint for people who stay old and big and sexy and loud. And I just want to say thank you to all the warrior queens who are my models in my life, and say thank you. Bye.
Janis Nickleson. Never too old.